is Lindsey Forkel, and I'm a Christian author. I write Christian YA, dystopian books and that kind of thing. And let's just say I have a lot of books. I have 3 bookcases with over 400 books, and so that means that I read a lot. And my all-time favorite book is this one, and I cannot stop talking about it. It's called The Memory House by Rachel Hauck, and for my first book rec, that's going to be a longer one, and book review, I figured I have to do my favorite. Yeah, it's by Rachel Hauck, which, like, one of my dreams came true whenever she followed me on, like, TikTok and Instagram and stuff, and I freaked out inside. Like, it was just crazy. Also, Neville says hi, if you, yeah, he's just chilling. But yeah, it's amazing, and I'm going to tell you why I like it so much. So the whole premise is basically Beck is this main character. She's in her 20s, and she lives with her family in New York City. And it also follows the story of Everly Applegate. Now, both of these are taking place in 2 different time periods. One of them in, like, 2019, I think, and then the other one in the 1950s. Now, Beck has lived a hard life. Her dad died in 9/11, and she never really recovered from it. Basically, any memory with him in it, she has, it's like selective amnesia, and she cannot remember him. Like, any memory that he touched is what she calls it. She cannot remember to save her life. And first of all, that sounds so traumatic. And I personally have gone through some, like, trauma in life. And I know how that feels whenever someone is in something and your brain just blocks it out because they're in it. And yeah, I would never wish that upon anybody. Because it just is so disorienting. And someone who's in your childhood for the majority of it, like, I can't even imagine. Anyways, though, that's all has happened in the past. And now she's living in a future where basically she's grown up, she's in her 20s, she's back living at home with her mom and her new family, basically, since her dad had passed away when she was, 10, I think, and she's just trying to figure out what her life holds as she's about to welcome a baby into the world, and, that alone has trauma behind it. And so she's going through all of this, and in the midst of that, she inherits a house from someone she doesn't even remember. Now, that's where Everly Applegate comes into the picture. Everly Applegate was basically her childhood grandma. Even though she wasn't her grandma, it was like, so when she would travel back home, or travel with her family to their vacation spot with her dad, she would have, like, a maternal grandma who was there, and that was Everly Applegate, or Miss Everly, as I'll probably refer to her a lot. And she was a strong, faith-based woman who was just always in her life. Well, because she was always with her dad when this happened, she doesn't remember Miss Everly. So when she inherits a house from her, that seems a little bizarre. Well, because of all the craziness of life, she decides to move into this house. And with it, you kind of just see how her life unfolds and how faith kind of plays into that. Then, in between that, it's jumping into Miss Everly's story. Miss Everly was a woman, like I said, she lived in the 1950s, and her entire family was wiped out in a horrific tornado that swiped across Texas, where she grew up. And she was left with practically nothing except for the child that her and her husband were expecting. Now, I don't even know what to say about that. So, all she has left is her mom and the baby that would have been her husband's, and she doesn't know what to do with herself. And you kind of see what she did and how her life ends up playing out. And it truly just affects Beck, and it's odd how similar they are when they jump back and forth. And you feel so much with this book. It's one of my only 5 out of 5 stars. It is just such a good book, and if you get the chance to read it, definitely go read it. It's The Memory House by Rachel Hauck. You don't want to miss it. And I love how Rachel Hauck talks so much about God's voice, and for someone who writes a lot about God's voice, I love how she explains it, and it's just so clear. She paints such a mental picture, and for someone who, I have a hard time reading sometimes. If I can't picture it, then I can't read it, and if it's too descriptive or if it's not descriptive enough, hers just seem to be perfect. So definitely go check it out, and thank you for watching.